Hello YouTube friends and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Deidre from our Upcycled life. Lots of thrifting, upcycling, repurposing, and DIY content. Love new crafting friends. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss any great DIY content. Today is all about home decor on a budget. I have 5 really easy thrift store flips that I'm going to show you. You can do these in an afternoon. They're really simple, really affordable. Let's get at it. First project is this little mirror that I picked up at the thrift store. I think it probably originally came from the dollar store. It was 50 cents. I picked it up. I'm going to turn it into some boho beautiful decor. I took the mirror out and I'm going to use some macrame cord. I had some cord left over from a project and it wasn't enough to do another hanger, so I'm going to use it on this thrift flip. I'm going to cut a whole bunch of pieces the same length because we're going to do a lark's head knot all around the outside of that frame. Now that I've gotten them cut all to the length that I want, we're just going to start putting those all around that little plastic frame. These were made quite cheap from the dollar store, and by adding this fringe on it, it's going to really make it look high-end, and it's really simple to do. Might take 15 or 20 minutes to put together. And if you don't have any macrame cord, you can use twine, you can use yarn, you can use cut up fabric. Just use your imagination. If you want to use some macrame cord, I'll put a link down below in the description for my favorite. I've got them all tied on around the whole outside of that plastic frame. Now we're going to unravel all those ends so they can be nice and full. Grab a coffee or a tea and work away at this. I actually find it quite relaxing. I'm going to now just take my comb and brush it all out, and then we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut all around the outside to make sure that it's all the same length. I'm just using my ruler here to use as I cut along, so I'm making sure that it's going to be all even. And make sure you have a really sharp pair of scissors. These ones aren't probably the sharpest. If you had a rotary cutter, that would probably work really perfect too, and you could do it right on a cutting board. Now we're ready to glue that mirror onto the back of that frame just with some hot glue, and it is beautiful. It looks so much better than that 50-cent mirror that I picked up at the thrift store. It now looks like a beautiful high-end piece of decor. On to our next project. If you have found a pretty placemat and you only have one and you don't know what to do with it, this is a perfect DIY. You can turn it into a little basket to keep your little knickknacks, toilet paper, craft supplies, plants, all kinds of possibilities. And I'm just going to use my hot glue to put this together. I'm folding the edge onto the top of this placemat. I'm going to do both ends. And I'm using a Gorilla Glue stick. I find it works really well and it's really strong for holding my projects together. Now we're going to fold that together and just put a bead of the hot glue right down the side 3/4 of the way. Leave a quarter of that open at the bottom. Now you see where it's open at the bottom, you're going to push that together and then put a bead of hot glue along that edge. And don't burn your fingers, these darn hot glue guns. I need to get those little finger protectors because I'm always burning myself. And you're going to turn it to the other side and do the same. Put a little bead of hot glue right along that crease. Now we're finished gluing it. We're going to flip it so the good side is facing out. Just take your time and push out all the little corners, and you'll see as you're doing it, you're going to have a basket start to form. This is such an easy thrift flip, and I always see these placemats that are so beautiful at the thrift store. So next time you're out, check out that section. Next project, I went to my recycling bin and I grabbed an empty egg carton, and we're going to do something really beautiful with these. You've probably all seen these before. Did you know that you can make flowers out of these egg cartons, and they look so beautiful when they're all done? I'm just going to cut these into each individual little egg cups, and then we're ready to start our project. I've got them all trimmed around the edges, and now I'm just going to cut in each corner right down to the flat of the egg carton. It's going to take quite a few of them, so just work away and make sure you have really sharp scissors. Okay, I've got them all cut and we're ready to put them together. You're going to take your hot glue gun and put a little bit of hot glue right in the center, and then you're going to take another one and just kind of mold it a little bit and then put it so it's off-centered to the one below it, so it looks like petals. You don't want them stacked up so the petals are together, you want them off-centered. Now we're going to cut a strip off the top of that egg carton, and we're just going to roll it into a cylinder. Once you have it rolled together, put a little bit of hot glue in the bottom of that flower, and then put your cylinder in there, and you have a beautiful egg carton flower. So I'm just going to work away at putting all of these together so I have enough to go completely around my project. And once they're all done, these are really tricky to paint. I'm going to put them in the top of that eggshell container. I'm going to take them outside and spray paint them with some black spray paint. And I picked up another one of those mirrors from the dollar store that were at the thrift store that I picked up for 50 cents. And we're just going to glue those flowers all around the outside of that mirror. If you wanted to do different colors, you could take the mirror out of the frame, spray paint that round plastic part, and then spray paint your flowers so they would all match. The black fits my decor for where I want to put it, so I left it all black. And look how that took that plain ordinary mirror to the next level with those beautiful egg carton flowers. If you caught my last thrift store haul, you saw that I picked up these placemats. It's a package of 4 for $1.99, and I'm going to show you a fantastic DIY that you can do with these. I've got 2 blocks of wood cut the same size, and we're going to use 1 placemat. When I first picked these up, I wasn't really fussy with the orange color of it, but it's growing on me and it kind of has that retro feel, kind of that boho hippie feel. And I'm really liking it. So I think I'm just going to keep it the same color. You could also spray paint it if you did find some of these placemats that were funky colors. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut a strip the same width of those pieces of wood. Now, when you cut into this type of placemat, it unravels, and that's okay because we're just going to glue them onto that block of wood, making sure that we're doing it in the same pattern as it was on the placemat. And we're going to repeat it on that other block of wood. I've also seen these type of placemats at the dollar store too, so if you look in the thrift store and you don't see any, check out your local dollar store. Once I have them both covered, I'm just going to take my scissors and cut off the ends. Now we're just going to take those 2 blocks of wood that have been covered, and we're going to place them so when you fold up the end of that placemat, it comes to the top of that piece of wood. And then we're going to just take the hot glue gun and just run a bead along the length of that block of wood so you can push it right in nice and firm on the edge of that placemat, and make sure you have enough hanging over the edge so it comes to the top of that piece of wood. Now we're going to repeat it on the other side. We're going to measure, make sure that we have it in the exact same spot on the other side of it as where we just put the first one. Going to use the hot glue gun and use the wood as a piece of guide so we know how far to put the hot glue, and just put a bead along there and then press it in firmly. Now that I'm doing this step, it'll all make sense of what I'm trying to do. I'm just putting some hot glue on the end of that board, and then we're going to pull up that placemat, and that's why you have to have it even so it lays right at the top of that piece of wood, and then hot glue it over on the other side also. Now we're going to hot glue at the other end, the same thing, just put a bead of hot glue along each piece of wood, and then we're going to lift up that larger flap and glue it right into that and make sure you're pressing firmly so it sticks really well. Now you can see what we've created is we've created a little storage box. I've got a little knob that I found out in my stash. That's just a little wooden knob. I'm gonna put some hot glue on it and then glue it on the top. And we've created the cutest little box from a placemat. Now, like I said before, I kind of liked the orange as I was putting it together, so I just left it as it is and I left the natural wood. You could definitely spray paint this or paint it after to match your decor. Okay, next project. Now we've got these placemats. I took a couple apart and I'm left with all these skewers and orange pieces. The orange pieces I'm going to put away because I know during fall season I can use those for all kinds of DIYs. But these wooden skewers, I am going to cut them all the same length. When I started cutting them, they were flying all over the place. So I got out some of my masking tape and I just taped it so when I cut them, they won't be flying all over my craft room and they're easier to manage to get them all the same length. We're gonna get that hot glue gun out again and we're gonna glue those skewers all around that whole glass jar. And I've got it all finished and I'm gonna use a little bit of that macrame cord that I have left over and I'm going to wrap it around a few times on the top and on the bottom. Perfect way to upcycle a glass jar, and adding those skewers and that little bit of cording around it makes it look really beautiful. So there's 5 home decor ideas on a budget that are made from thrift flips and are super easy and super affordable. I'd love to know in the comments which one's your favorite. These are also really easy beginner projects that anybody can do. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and we'll see you in the next video. And if you like this video, I'm sure you'll really love the next one. Take care.